JD. Welcome to my man cave. It's like a coffee house, but you don't have to pay $3 for a cup of coffee. Hasn't the whole coffee thing like gone passe now? Like really, I went into a Tim Hortons the other day. Have you seen this? Tim Hortons. It's like the Sultan of Brunei is coming to Tim Hortons. God help us if you don't order double double because we certainly don't have that triple mocha latte yet. It was insane. It's completely changed. Whole new look. It used to look like a freaking coffee place. Now it looks like freaking some guy from the Middle East came over and redecorated. Yeah, go in there and I'm like, yeah, I like a coffee. Would you like the mocha coffee? Would you like the espresso coffee? I want a coffee. Okay, I'm coming into a coffee place. This is supposed to be a coffee shop. It says so on your window, Tim Hortons coffee shop. So I want a coffee. How hard is that? What size would you like? Medium? Oh, we don't have medium, sir. Okay. What sizes do you got? We got everything but medium. In coffee house, and you know, Tim Hortons, okay, it's not through the moon. I mean, it's not Starbucks, but it's a couple bucks. It sets you back a couple bucks, right? You go to Starbucks, and it's like $3 for a small. And the moment you walk into a Starbucks, you go, "What the fuck am I doing here?" Oh yeah, I'm going for coffee. The place is insane. Starbucks is. The furniture is leather in the Starbucks. They have a chessboard set up on a glass coffee table with like marble pieces. You got small booths if you still want to sit in a booth. It's crazy. It's insane. You go in there and there's always in Starbucks. I don't know why this is somebody who's a Starbucks culture. They have a little comment section right down there. Tell me why this is. Every time you go into a Starbucks, there's always that old couple sitting there, and for whatever reason, the hearing aid battery has died. Hey, Margaret! Margaret! Yes! Margaret! Look at that guy over there. He looks like he's from freaking Al Qaeda. I can hear you, sir. What? I said I heard you. Allahu Akbar. There's two. I mean, I'll admit it. There's people in there that I question whether they are from Al Qaeda or not. You always have the guy in there with the tweed neck and like the little hemp headdress, and he's sitting there typing on his computer. It's like, what the frig is he typing? Is this like his manifesto why he gave his life to Allah? It's like you don't even want to be in there after that. You see the guy, and there's always one. It's like, do I really want to buy? I came into Starbucks. I guess I got to buy Starbucks coffee. Well, like I can turn around, save 15 bucks. Whole family wants it too. That's another thing. You go to Starbucks, you got to buy for everyone in the family. You got to buy for the kids. You got to buy for the girl. You got to buy for the girl's boyfriend. You got to buy for everybody in the family. So it sets you back a couple Starbucks. I tell you what. Shit. You go into McDonald's and you can get the same amount of coffee for a buck. I don't know why Starbucks needs to charge $3. I suppose it's for the insurance in case the guy with the computer actually does blow himself up for all off. Divorce today. Back in the old days, divorce was the ugly D word. The ugly D word. Now it's like the norm. You turn on the TV and somebody's getting divorced from somebody. And I was married once. I married for love. And I turn on the TV now and I realize what a fucking moron I was. I was. I'm married for love. There's no money to be made in that. Divorce is an industry now, man. Like Clooney just divorced from his gal for like $5.5 million. I'm like, seriously? Seriously, at that point, it's cheaper to keep her. Hey, honey, I hope you'd be happy in this $1 million pad. I'm going to go jet set to France for, the rest of my life. Have a couple mistresses on the side. I hope you don't mind. You're not going down here and sleep with you, you bitch. Seriously, $5.5 million for getting divorced. It's like $100 to get married. It's like millions of dollars to get divorced. It's an industry. They have divorce insurance now. Where was this when I was getting married, right? When you're getting married, you can get divorce insurance. You're paying $100 a month, $100 a month, that you'll stay married. I thought that's what the marriage license was. Wasn't that supposed to be divorce insurance? Till death do you part. Now you have divorce insurance. There's somebody who's making a mint right there. Whoever thought that idea up? It's crazy. It's crazy. And then you have these. The worst is divorces with kids. That's the worst. Because you got these women raising the kids, and they're always complaining about the man, how he's not making enough because they're not getting their child support check. Oh man, they actually had to go out and get a part-time job because they didn't get enough in child support. Really? Really? I mean, in the old days, you never hear a man complain about that. Yeah, I got 3 kids. I had to go out and get a job. Yeah, bitch moved back in with her parents. She ain't working. Like in my day, that was the norm. If your parents were divorced, you were living with daddy, and you went and saw mommy and grandma and grandpa on the weekend, if you were lucky. Nowadays, you got a woman. She's got the single kids. Dad never sees the kid because he's working 2 jobs to pay goddamn child support. President the other day said it right now. Problem with this country is men aren't being with their kids. It's like, well, when they're working 2 jobs to make some lazy bitch happy who's not woman enough to go out and get a job, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And they can put you in jail for not paying child support. They can't put a woman in jail for not letting the guy see the kids because who's going to be taking care of the kids? He ain't going to be doing it because he's out there working all day, slugging for a child support check. It's like, men in that situation, they're nothing but a paycheck and the sperm donor. Woman would have just been easier to pay the $200 to go down to the clinic and get knocked up. Speaking of politics, this is another thing that's been on my mind lately. Right? We have a newspaper here in Maine. It's called the Bangor Daily News. And another newspaper in New York got this bright idea that they were for gun control, and they were going to print the home addresses of people who had concealed weapons in protest that they felt those people were unsafe. They have firearms, they could go off anytime. We got to let everybody know who they are. Right? And they got lambasted for doing this. It was bad. They were bad. I ain't joking about that. That was pretty low. But then here you got the Bangor Daily News that watched all this happen. They got the bright idea that they were going to do it and they were going to do it right. So they sent the request to every agency under the sun, and some guy who's part of the governor's office gets the request. He goes to the governor and he says, Governor, we got this request. What the hell are we supposed to do with it? And you know what the governor's going to say? He's a Republican. Let Fox News have it. Yep, yep. So instantly, the conservative media blows up. It went somewhere. It went on a blog or somewhere. And it blows up, right? Which predictably it was going to do because it blew up for the other guys. Some guy does something stupid. You don't do it and think that you can do it better. He jumped off a bridge, and assuming he lived, it doesn't look like it's going to be a good idea to me. I'm sorry, but, a newspaper went out there. They jumped off the bridge and did this, and they got caught. And they printed an apology. The apology read like this. Yes, we asked for all of this information, had the home addresses of the people, had the concealed weapons, but we weren't going to print it. We were just going to keep it for our records. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, is the newspaper industry dying out that bad that they need to blackmail people into buying the newspaper? Seriously. They had to get the home addresses of people who had concealed carry, because if you didn't buy the newspaper, man, we were going to print your address. Seriously? Your newspaper sales were that bad? Paper struggling. Your liberal paper is the government's cutting back to the right. What are you going to do? got to be pulled. You got to get your name in the papers. It's not like you can't just print it. You got to get your name in the papers. And they go out and do that. They get caught. Now, just to give you an idea of how bad this is, we have a divided government here in Maine. Republicans control the executive branch. Democrats control the legislative branch. Most of those situations, nothing gets done in one day. In one day, and actually in 5 hours of one day. Legislation went through that made it a crime to print that information. So the newspaper, assuming they got the information, couldn't print it without committing a crime. Congratulations. I congratulate the Bangor Daily News that they got probably the only piece of legislation in the history of this government that took 5 hours to get it through. The only reason it took 5 hours to get it through was because one congressman was too drunk to know what the procedural vote was. I mean, that's the extent of it. So that's so much kind of like PO'd everybody. But then, as soon as the vote got through, the governor had not signed it when another paper, the Portland paper, said, well, we're going to chastise the government for doing this, and they released the newspaper's editorial for the next morning on their website, which basically read like this. The newspaper in New York, they did an okay thing. You know? Granted, it was probably a little bad because you had a bunch of people who were afraid that government's going to come and confiscate their handguns. But because of those people, do we really have to have our First Amendment rights violated? I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, Second Amendment, you can believe on it what you want. The Eighth Amendment, you can believe on it what you want. But I'm pretty sure, thinking about the legislation, people owning firearms was second to like people's private information held by the government in trust, being printed by a newspaper for political purposes that might be counter to what those people believe. Just thinking about that, you know, we have this wonderful thing in the Constitution called being secure in your home. And if you can't be secure in your home because some guy's going to print your address, you know, that to me is in the Constitution. So now we've got to the point that constitutional rights, we've got to make a hierarchy. What's the most important? What's the second most important? What can we cut out? And I've seen this, and you know, gun control's a big thing now. So don't get me wrong. People are out there saying we should repeal the Second Amendment. I don't so much have a problem with that on one condition. Only one condition. If we're going to repeal the Second Amendment, can we also repeal the Third Amendment? Because by God damn it, if I can't have a firearm, I certainly want to be quartering soldiers during peacetime. You got some wacko that goes out and shoots up someplace, and all of a sudden it's an epidemic. You know, wackos everywhere. Wackos to the right of me, wackos to the left of me. I grew up in all of this. Okay, so maybe it's the fact that I might be desensitized to a little bit. I didn't have a bad childhood growing up. Don't get me wrong on that. There was always some place in the world that was worse than me. You know, we were having a stabbing every hour or so, drive-by once a week, but hell, we weren't in Compton. They were having a drive-by down there every hour. You know, you go down to the Starbucks gets shot up. You get your cup of coffee, you get out before the Al-Qaeda guy blows himself up. I mean, Compton was nuts back then. You know, you had the Rodney King thing, the OJ thing, the whatever thing. Seemed like every other weekend there was a reason to go out and party and burn the town down. Now I'm in a small town. And I got kids. I won't lie. Sometimes I disavow that they're my kids, but I got kids. And the one thing that you have to do when you have kids is you have to go to a parent-teacher conference. And you go into the parent-teacher conference. It's not parent-teacher and student. It's parent-teacher. No student. They don't want your kids there as they're grilling you, man, because they're looking for anything. They're looking for anything. Walk in there. Teacher looks at me. Nice, young. They're kind of cute. She looks at me and she goes, Who are you? Zach's dad. What are you doing here? So parent teacher, Zach's my kid. Oh, he's your kid, is he? Yeah. Excuse me, I'm gonna put my cell phone out right here. Okay. Do I need a lawyer? When have teachers become cops? You know? They sit down and it's like you start doing the conference. Well, has Zach been bullied? Has he told you he's being bullied? No. Why? Is he being bullied? Well, no, not that we know of, but we gotta check for that thing now. How's his internet usage? Well, he watches the Montreal Canadiens on there. What are the Canadians? Hockey team. Don't you think hockey's a little too violent? No. Well, last I looked, it was a competitive sport. It's crazy. All of these questions to find out he's doing okay in math and his spelling sucks, and we should do something about his spelling. Because social media is the thing. And kids will tease other kids if their spelling is bad. Now, I'm of the old school. I'm really of the old school. You can't be perfect at everything. All right? But when is it that kids haven't found a reason to tease other kids? Bullying is a problem. Okay? Bullying in the neighborhood I grew up in, some kid didn't like it, he'd pull a gun and shoot you. That was bullying. It was a pretty simple process. You didn't piss off the people who had the gun. And what happened, here's the other thing, right? Where I grew up, you hear a gunshot go off, boom, it hit the ground, right? That's where I grew up. Wild neighborhood. Where I live now, you hear a gunshot go up, you go, wow, I wonder if I'll get a deer hide out of that. Where I grew up, you see some guy digging a hole in his backyard, you go, I'm not asking questions. No. You see some guy digging a hole here, it's like, I'll help you out. It's a different culture, and yet everybody's crazy. Everybody's fear crazy. Fear crazy. It's like, I had reasons to be afraid. Holy Christ, growing up, we had terrorists. There were terrorists everywhere back then. You couldn't get on a cruise ship, you'd run into terrorists. You couldn't get on a plane, you'd run into terrorists. You couldn't get on a plane in Miami, you might end up in Cuba. Terrorists everywhere. But nowadays, gotta watch out for the terrorists. Okay. When did they stop being everywhere? Gotta watch out for them. We were watching out for them for 30 years, so where have you been? You can't have a guy in your mosque named Ahmed. He might be planning to blow himself up. Oh, really? Really? Come on. Like, there's like 1.5 million Muslims out there. None of them seem to have death on their mind. You got a few guys who want to have jihad against the United States. I'd be looking for some Muslim who has a problem with the freaking government, with like no legitimate right, from like someplace like, I don't know, Libya or Iran. Israel people. When did Israel become the third rail of the Middle East? Can't touch Israel. I'm going to do it, but can't do it. Everybody has a position on Israel. We should be helping them. We shouldn't be helping them. We should be giving the Egyptians the tanks. We should be giving the Israelis the tanks. Egyptians planes, Israelis planes. We got Syria. We got to help it. We got to protect Israel from Syria. Syria's in the middle of a civil war. I don't think it's too much of a problem. And the Israelis seem to have a good job of taking care of themselves. You don't see anybody this up in arms over Georgia. I'm not talking about the state. I'm talking about the country. There's a country over there called Georgia. They had some problems up there in the Zergout Mountains of Georgia again. It was a news story a couple days ago. Problems up in the Zergout Mountains. They have insurgents in Georgia again. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody gives a rat's ass about Georgia. Granted, they got nuclear weapons. They can nuke anybody they wanted. But who the fuck cares about it? We got to worry about Iran. Iran having the bomb. I'm gonna paint the picture for you so you guys understand this. How silly and how unsilly this is. Turkey has an atomic bomb. Georgia has an atomic bomb. Turkmenistan has an atomic bomb. Turkmenistan has an atomic bomb. Pakistan has an atomic bomb. Over here, way over to the west, but with missile technology, is Israel. They have a bomb. Iran, sitting right smack in the middle of this crucible, no bomb. Wouldn't you want the atomic bomb too? I mean, Jesus, I don't want to be somebody's bitch. Pakistan wants to make me her bitch. What am I going to do about it? They got the bomb. What we're afraid of is that if Iran gets the bomb, then Saudi Arabia's got to have the bomb. And if Saudi Arabia's got to have the bomb, Egypt gets the bomb. And before long, every Arab country has the bomb. Every Christian country has the bomb. And somebody's going to decide to have a nuclear crusade. I mean, really? Really? Religious wars as a whole, isn't that passe? That's like so 13th century. But we still use the terminology like it's happened yesterday. Right? Oh, you know, Christians, they're out to kill everybody, convert everybody to Jesus Christ. Look what they did to the Native Americans in the 1500s. Yeah? So were you alive in the 1500s? No, but I think the problem's past. Everybody's blaming the Christians for killing everybody. Nobody's blaming the Chinese for killing the Christians. Kill Christians, Muslims, anybody they don't like. Do it for free. Well, what are we going to do about it? They got the bomb. You know, you don't find people. I mean, as a whole, you don't find people have like a lot of love for Christianity anymore. The Pope's retiring. And people go, oh, does he really have to retire? I mean, what are we going to do with two popes? I'm pretty sure, don't get me wrong, there is president, but I'm pretty sure there can only be one pope. Only be one pope. It's kind of the law. Like there can only be one Queen of England. Can't have two. But it's a big thing. I mean, we're going to have a big deal next week. All of the bishops are going to get together in their red outfits, and it's going to be kind of nice. They're going to be singing the songs, and they're going to go up in their secret rooms and do whatever they do up there. It's going to be great. And we'll get a new pope. You know what? Though everybody's talking about who's the new pope going to be. Who's the new pope going to be? Let's see. We've had a long succession of white popes. Let's try a black pope. Could you imagine how that would go over? He's the black pope. Worked great for America. We had a black president. Nothing really went bad. Nothing ever goes right here anyhow. Couldn't be that bad for the Catholics. Black pope. Might work. Work in blazing saddles. I'd like to be a cat. Cats have it great, don't they? When you think about it. If anybody's ever owned a cat knows this, but for you people who have never owned a cat, I suggest owning a cat just for this experience. Cats, you gotta feed, you gotta give them water, you gotta, things, and you gotta give them a box that they can go to the bathroom. They love their box. They'll go to their box and they'll arrange their droppings however they want it, and they'll take a dump, and then they'll rearrange their droppings so that the new dump is appropriate to where the old dumps were. When you've done that, clean the litter box. I can't stress this enough. You don't want a dirty litter box, right? Every vet will tell you, clean the litter box. You don't want a dirty litter box. I got news for you, vet. I don't know what cats you've owned in the past, but it seems every cat I've owned in the past, as soon as they clean the litter box, they go to the bathroom in it. Never fails. I can catch the cat coming out of the litter box, having just taken a shit, which smells horrible, and it's like, yeah. That smells good. Hey, don't you touch up, don't you? I just got that the way I want in there and take a shit. They could have just taken a shit. They'll take another shit. Got to be shit in the litter box, man. Ah, litter box. You have multiple cats. It's a race to the litter box. Kick them all out of the room, clean the litter box, open the door, and have all your friends take a bet as to which cat's going to get there and shit first. I mean, honestly, life as a cat is great. There's a lady down in Pennsylvania, very, very rich lady, left her entire estate to her cat. $5-6 million house, 8 or 9 acres of land, and a pretty tidy sum so the cat had like the best cat food. He had his own chef. I mean, his own personal chef. Man, that cat's life had it great. People are insuring their cats. Some guy took out an insurance policy for his cat for $3 million. A $3 million cat. Where can I catch that guy on a drunken Friday night? Hey, dude, man, you gotta like wheel me the cat. You gotta like wheel me the cat. You want another beer? Just wheel me the cat. You know, as soon as that guy passes away, I'm killing that fucking cat and collecting the insurance money.